Hello everybody, it is Jack the Music Lover here with the first of something I meant to start ages ago. Here today is my first album review. I would have started these earlier, however, I ran into technical issues with my camera and limitations to my editing software. I have not resolved them, I'm just bypassing them, figured out a way to make this work anyway. But anyway, my first album review, I will be reviewing the first full-length album from what's so far been my favourite support act I have come across. She supported Sigrid when I saw her in Wembley. It's also from Norway, Skaar, with her new album Mad Woman, which when I saw her live at the Lower Third in Tottenham Court Road, which is this relatively small venue in the bottom of a bar near the station, where you go down these very dungeon-esque stairs, and then it suddenly opens out into this pretty decent-sized concert hall. She described as just all the songs being more or less about her life over the past 5 years, and that she considers these experiences to make her a mad woman. Which I would say, she seems pretty put together. She seemed to have pretty good composure on stage, but if your life's incredibly chaotic, you usually end up thinking you're pretty mad. The first song on the album is, I would say, the darkest one on there. I think it was quite daring for her to start with Obscene. I mean, I always feel like the ordering on the album, it's very all over the place. I think Skaar seemed to just make 12 songs, which pretty much all the songs on the album I really like. But she seemed to just make 12 songs she wanted to make without trying for there to be a concept or something that linked them all together. So the ordering seems all quite jumbled up. But as it is, starting with Obscene and then finishing with Come Back to Life, which is about and very much feels like a song for a rebirth, it does feel like if you're going to end with Come Back to Life, yeah, I guess start with Obscene. I almost felt like it would have been a better maybe track 3 or 4. It's so strange. It has such a big opening. Logically sort of makes sense to be first, but it just doesn't feel like you're starting off. I almost feel like you could have started with something like this. But because of where Obscene is in the album, something like this is the third song. And after Mad Woman, and it's such a contrast, like Mad Woman, about putting a deceitful person in their place. There's only got something like this, which is like the exact opposite, and so upbeat. You can really tell there's such a stretch of genres for this album. She had no idea how to order these songs because they're so varied. But as for Mad Woman as a song, it almost feels like it was made up. I know there are people like that in the world, but it almost feels like she made up this person just because she wanted to write that type of song. But as for something like this, it's one of my favourite songs on the album, but you could probably say 5 of the songs on the album are, because I like Skaar so much. But it is definitely the perfect upbeat song. The next song, DNA, that is another lyrically strange one for me. People have used the same metaphor before. The instrumentation, I think, is fantastic. The metaphor of DNA relating to a relationship has been used so many times, but Skaar did it in sort of like a spooky way. Some of the lyrics you could almost say, is this a stalkery song? Like, what's that song by The Police? Every Step You Take. That is one creepy ass song. Whereas this song, it doesn't feel creepy at all, even though there's slightly similar theme implied. It just seems quite spooky and not in a Halloweeny way. Just, I don't know how to describe it. And suddenly it's about the same topic, but there's a complete sort of attitude shift with Out of My Hands. I think this was the first single. I remember her playing this when she was supporting Sigrid at Wembley, and it was just so happy and upbeat. I guess it's not about being adamant that you'll be in a relationship with them, it's more that you're already in the relationship with them and you can't control how much you're in love with them. It's so wispy, and it's not like ethereal in any way. It's just quite wispy and flowy, and Again, upbeat like something like this, but in a different way. And then you have probably what I would say is the oddest song on the album because of how it starts. Like Skaar even said in the concert, she had to get us to sing along to it because she struggles to sing the song that she wrote. And I'm sure fitted the instrumentation to herself, so knew she was doing this. But still, Follow Your Heart. I remember when I first listened to it, I was just like, what the fuck is this? It's all over the place. I couldn't stand the start because it's so confusing. It's like repetitive, but in such a disjointed way. It pissed me off. And then I became obsessed with it. I couldn't stop listening. I would listen to it. I would go off into town to do chores or go to the train station or whatever, and I would have to listen to it because it would just be stuck in my head. But I was obsessed with it. And it really, really grew on me. And I almost like how disorderly it is. With songs, I much prefer disorder with how sections are arranged, as opposed to lyrics being flown all over the place and there being no structure at all. But like, you have like this verse that has just a bunch of random words and lines shoved all over the place with no structure. But then there's an identifiable chorus that somehow appears 3 verses on. But I much prefer it that you have like each section, each verse, or maybe there's a chorus, is structured, but you just start going off on little tangents within the structure, but each unit is the same. Follow Your Heart is the opposite of that, but I somehow love it. And then we do come on to what I think I can confidently say is my favourite song of the album. And it's one of the more somber ones, nowhere near as dark as Obscene, which, contrasting this to Chaos, Obscene being this dominant opening fits how dark that was. Whereas this one, since it's more about sort of doubt and feeling too all over the place, it does make sense that it is a bit mellower and calmer, but it does have its build-up bits. But the way it sounds, there's a real sound in the song of overcoming. You'll be able to overcome it. Life may seem utterly hectic and nonsensical at the moment, but it will be overcome. And I'm so annoyed she didn't sing it at the concert. I think instead she sang Rock the Boat, which is again a lovely song, and is almost out of place on the album. Rock the Boat and What Are You Scared Of? I much prefer What Are You Scared Of, because I think it's just the little higher bits, like when she says I didn't know and what are you scared of, where you go a little higher, and then the chord arrangements on What Are You Scared Of, I just think it's so sweet. It's such a sweet little 1-2 minutes put in the middle there. They're the 2 most out of place songs on the album because nothing else is acoustic or even suggests that that's sort of a genre that Skaar would go for, but it's so perfectly placed in there. What Are You Scared Of is such a sweet song, whilst Rock the Boat seems to be mellower and maybe a bit darker. Again, it's so lovely to hear such a stripped back song amongst all this heavily produced stuff. So then we come to very near the end of the album. I wrote down that Imposter Syndrome is the most kooky song of the album. I would say lyrically, yeah, it definitely is. Like, the funny looking hat. It just reminds me of at the concert at the lower third. The funny looking hat that people in the front row just to the right of me gave her to wear, which she then wore again, seeing something like this at the end. I've never really felt this. I've never had this desperation. I've always had these goals that I want to achieve a lot of things, but never because someone else I feel is achieving it. Like, I've never had that feeling where I feel all my friends are doctors. There's so many strange lines in that song. It's not like Follow Your Heart where the arrangement is strange. It's the lyrics that are strange here. And it is quite over-exaggerated. But I guess if you do really feel like everyone is beating you and surpassing you, you're gonna feel that, even if it's completely not true. So near the end, as far as we go. So near the end. I actually think that should have been the first song. It has a gradual build-up. It stays quite gradual throughout the song. It's like, near the end, they really like bump up the chorus to sort of have a real proper crescendo. The fact that Obscene is so dominant and loud in the beginning, whereas As Far As We Go builds up, I think As Far As We Go would have been a better song to start with, and it's not as dark. I mean, it's about a relationship coming to an end, but not as dark as I've seen. And then we end the album with, I think, and I'm sure most people agree, is the most perfectly placed song on the album, Come Back to Life. I remember, I didn't clock this when she did the video release. I remember, if any of you are signed up to Skaar's newsletter, I remember she did I think it was on Zoom. It was, she showed us a clip from before she released the video of Come Back to Life. I was the person on the train. I remember everyone, because I was on the train, I had pretty crap internet. Everyone had their cameras on, and Skaar pointed out that someone was on the bus, and I was just like, I'm on the train, I've one-upped them. I'm putting my camera on, even though barely had enough bandwidth to. So then I turned my camera on and everyone could see me on the train home. But as for the song itself, I would say it's probably the most powerful on the album, and probably why she chose it to be last, even though musically some are more powerful. I guess for the message and the overcoming and reaching freedom and success, it would make it perfect to end the album that way. So as for the album as a whole, whilst the ordering, I'd say, could never ever get more than a 2 out of 10 no matter what order she put the songs in, because they're all so different. I am obsessed with it. I've been listening to it loads, and I would give it a hefty 8.5, 9 out of 10. I have been Jack the Music Lover, and I will see you in the next one.